Right, so welcome to a new guide on this channel, and on this occasion is the KEYSTEP 37. Now this is not a review, it's a complete deep dive guide about this device. So everything on this guide is in chapters, so if you look at the description or the timeline, you can jump to a section or skip the ones you don't want. Now if you like this, please like and subscribe, and if you have the money, you can buy me a coffee if you can. Everything is on the description. Right, so we can split this keyboard in a few parts. We have the arpeggiator, we have a sequencer, and I'm pretty sure you already knew that. We have a chord feature, we have CC knobs when you toggle the function right there. We have scales, so we have a lot of things we can do with the tiny little keyboard. So before we start, I want to talk about this section. So you have the clock right here. This is the way you set the clock. You can set it to internal, USB, MIDI, or sync in. In this case, I'm going to be using all the way down, which is the internal of the KEYSTEP. But if you're syncing this to USB, you will need to go to the switches and change them. Now, one thing I will not be covering on this guide is the CV outputs and the sync. Now, if you would like me to, create different examples with different synthesizers by connecting the CV outputs and doing different things, let me know down in the comments. So first, on this guide, we will talk about the chords and we will talk about scales. And it's because the sequencer and the ARP are really related to the scales and the chords. So if I start the other way with sequences and ARPs, then I will need to go back here, and then I will need to go back to the sequencer and the ARP to explain different features. So I much prefer to cover and get out of the way the chords and the scales, so then later we can just dedicate ourselves to learning the ARP and the sequence. And one more thing, just to get it out of the way, right here you have your octave up and your octave down. When you play something, you can go up in octave and you can go down in octave just like that. But if you press and hold both at the same times, it will just go right to the middle. And if you're connecting this to your computer or maybe a synthesizer and it's not recognizing because maybe your synthesizer is listening for a very specific MIDI channel, right here at the top, you have the 16 MIDI channels that you can select. So by doing shift, you can tap on the number 4 or the number 7 and you will be selecting a MIDI channel. In this case, I'm just going to go to 1. All right, so this keyboard offers a powerful scale feature. Once you set it up, it will influence your sequences, ARPs, playing, chords, everything. So the default, by default, it's the chromatic scale. How can you select the different scales? Well, you have them right here. So you have your chromatic scale, your major, minor, you have a blues scale, and then you have a user scale. I'm going to tell you how to use it because you are not locked to just use four different scales. You just can define your own. So whenever you want to select the scale, you will need to go to shift, you press and hold. And now you can see that you have all different lights on different parts of the keyboard. So we're going to talk about the different sections. But right here on the scale, if the light is on the chromatic scale, it means that the chromatic scales is selected. So if you tap the major, you're going to be using a major scale, minor scale, then blues scale, and then user scale. And we will talk about that one in a minute. But in this case, I want to use, let's say, the minor scale. So I'm going to go there and select that one. When you're ready, you just release the shift. Now, whenever you select the scale, in this case minor, this means that the keyboard will work within the params of that scale. So it means that if you play a key that doesn't belong to that scale, it will play the closest thing or the closest note that belongs to that scale. So, for example, this one is going to be a C note. If I play it, we just get a C, right? We just get a C. Now, if I play this one, it sounds exactly the same. And notice that even the light, it's telling us, dude, you're playing a C. And I'm not. I'm playing a C sharp or a D flat. So, making use of the scales, it's kind of lock you to make no mistakes. And if we keep moving forward, this one is going to sound like this. If I go there, this one is cool, this one is cool, and this one, notice that, it doesn't belong to the scale, and it's going to be playing that one by default. So in conclusion, it doesn't allow you to go out of the scale you selected. Now, for sure, you're wondering, what about the root? Now, by default, it's going to be a C, right? C major, C minor, and so on and so on. But the thing is that you can select the root on this one. Now, you will need to go to shift right here, just like when we select the scales. And right here, we are in the minor. So I'm going to be pressing the minor, right? So while I'm holding the shift and I'm holding the minor, we need to select the roots. And this these ones are the roots. So we have a C and we have a B right there. So we have a whole octave. Now you can release the shift, but you still need to keep holding this one. If you release it, it's going to go away. So you need to do shift, select whatever scale, then you release this one, and now you select the root. So we were using the C, we are standing on C. But if I, maybe go to a different, root, like, I don't know, C sharp, now the scale is going to be C sharp minor. Now, when I release this key, it's going to accept the changes. So now if I play a C, it's not doing it because it doesn't belong to the scale. But we do have a B, so it's just, adjusting or offsetting this note to the one that belongs to the scale. If I play a B, we get a B. So it's just a very cool feature, right? You can select your scale and then use it and never make a mistake. Now, what if you want to use a different scale that it's not chromatic major, minor, or blues? Well, you have your user scale. Now, this works a little bit different, and you need to let the KEYSTEP know which scale you want to use. Now, first, I'm going to be going right here, and remember that we were on C sharp. I'm going to go back to C, right? It doesn't matter if you're minor or you select major. When you select the key, it's going to be the same key for all the different scales. Now, while holding shift, I'm going to be selecting user. I'm going to be selecting, and notice that all the lights right here, they go on. If I release it, they go off. So in this case, to select a user scale, I'm going to be going right here, just press it, and now I'm going to be releasing the shift in 3, 2, 1, and now notice that the lights are still on. Now, maybe on the camera, you see them as white, but it's because, I have a lot of lights and it's the camera and all that. But the thing is that they are purple. On your KEYSTEP, they will be purple. Now, the thing is that all the lights are on. So it means that we are playing, or we have a, chromatic scale right here. So we have all the notes. How this works is that you need to remove the ones that doesn't belong to whatever scale you want to create. So in this case, what I will do, since we are standing on C as a root, I will do a Persian scale, something, really noticeable. So if I, trying to create a Persian scale, a C Persian, this one belongs, yeah, because it's the root. This one belongs, yeah. So the lights, they need to be on. Now the D doesn't belong. So when I select it, it's going to go off. This means that this one, the D, doesn't belong. If I keep moving forward, this one doesn't belong. I'm going to just tick it, check it out, or, tick it off, whatever. And then I'm going to go here. This one belongs. This one belongs to the scale. This one, yeah, it belongs to the scale. The G doesn't belong. This one, yes. A, no. And then this one doesn't. So then we go back to C and to B, and the B belongs, and the whole thing starts, over. So this is how you select or you create your user scales. Once you just release this key, and then make sure, of course, you're in the user scale. Now, whatever you do right here, it works just like the other scales. If you play something, it will not go off the params of the scale. So if I go right here and start playing keys, right? So we got the scale locked. Right, so let's talk about chords. Now, make sure that you are using the right scale. Now, the action is kind of focused right here because we need to do a lot of talking with this and with the shift as well. But make sure that you select the right scale because it will affect how the chords work. So I'm going to be going right here and I'm going to do shift. And on the other side, I'm going to be selecting the chromatic scale. Right, so we know we can create arps and sequences, but we can play chords, and also we can do chords within the arps and within the sequences and everything else. But first, we need to learn how the chords work. So this is like the main knob, the main button, and it's a little bit confusing. It's just a little bit confusing because if you tap it, it's going to change colors. It's going to say something right there, and what is this? And then if you press it back, it's going to be orange. So, okay, so let me just tell you, when it's orange, it means that you are in chord mode. All these 4 knobs will work for chords. Oh, everything that's orange, it means that it will be changing the type, the notes, the velocity, and the strum. We will talk about these features in a minute. But if it's orange, it means that you're standing on the chord mode. Now, when you tap it, you go out of the chord mode. So these knobs are CC knobs. You have 4 banks. We will talk about that in a minute. But the only thing you need to know now for chords is that if it's not orange, you're not controlling chords. So you tap it and you go back to orange. And one more thing, because maybe you make a mistake, and when you're here, if you go to shift and you tap this, you will maybe have different colors. So these are the banks and you have a 4. So the only thing that you need to know, if it's not orange, it means that you are on one of the CC banks. So in this case, I'm going to leave it white because it's the first bank and it's going to say B1. But then I tap it out, just tap it and go out and go to chord mode. Now, to turn the chord mode, you have a couple ways. If you go to shift and you do hold, notice that the chord is going to go on. Now it's not dark orange and the hold is just going to keep, stay blinking like that. But the main difference is that the orange is strong, the other one is just dim, and it means that it's off. Now, still, when I play a key, we get a chord, but the thing is that we might have a lot of different types of chords. But the fact that you are doing this, it means that you play a key, and you're just going to be getting a chord. That's the main vibe. Now, how can we select a different chord? Because we might have many. So I'm going to be going right here to this one. And for now, I'm just going to go down on this ones. On this ones, I'm going to go down. And on this one, I'm going to keep it on 0. Now, this knob is the main knob. Right now, if I go all the way to down, it's off. And notice that the chord goes dim. The light of the chord goes, off. So we have no chord mode. It doesn't matter that we have it right here because we are going to be deactivating. So you don't need to go right here and just hold it to enable it because you can turn it off from here. But if you go right there and you move it, it's going to turn on. So this is the other way you have to turn on the chord feature and you will be getting, a chord. Now, the thing is that you have different modes. So the first one, it's going to be the user. Now, we will talk about this in a minute. So if you keep going up, you will be getting an octave. So if you play an octave, you get it. If you can play a fifth, then you can play sus. This is sus4, sus2, and so on, and so on, and so on. So you get a lot of chords. Now, notice what is going on right now. I'm getting a lot of different types. And I'm going to show you on the screen all the different chords that you can do. But the problem is that when I move the knob, I'm just getting 2 notes, right? So here comes the part when I tell you about this knob. So this one decides how many notes on the chord you will be doing. Since I'm all the way down, I'm only doing or locking the chord to 2 notes. So when I go to, I don't know, a 7th or something like that, minor 7, I'm not getting it. Right, I'm just getting 2. So on this case, you need to go up in the amount of notes that you want to let go, let through. So if I have right here 4 selected, we are just going to be getting 4 different notes from a chord. But what if I go back to something that doesn't have 4 notes? Like, let me go to something else, like a fifth. We are just, getting that. And why do we get 4? We are just doing fifths. So the thing is that right here, this has no idea how many, how many keys or how many notes it needs to play. If you say 4, it's going to do 4. So it's doing the root, the fifth, but then it's just repeating this on a different octave. It's doing root and then fifth. So, again, it just has no idea how to handle this. So you need to be very smart in how many notes you do. Now, the cool thing is that if you maybe select something, let me just go, this is just a minor. I'm going to change it to a minor scale because, so let me go to a 7th, right? So I'm going to go to a minor 7th. So if I play this, we are going to be getting this amount of notes. We know that we can do 4, but if I keep going up, we're just going to get a lot of notes and it's like playing the same chord on different octaves. Right? So it's really great. And it's just really, just really inspiring. Because in real life, I'm a poor keyboard player. So, just getting the ability to do something like this so easily, it's just a great tool. Now you can go all the way up to 16, so it's just crazy, right? So you're gonna be getting a lot of notes. Now maybe you will not be using 16, but you can select right here how many you want to do. I'm gonna be going back to 4, and remember we are standing on the minor 7. There you go. So then we have the vel to notes. So this one depends on the velocity of how hard you hit the keys is going to decide how many notes you're going to be doing. It's great, but you need to learn how to control it. Now I'm going to go all the way up to 100%, which is full. Now I'm going to be playing soft and we get 1. I'm going to play hard and we get 4. Why? Because we said that we wanted to use 4. Now I'm going to be doing something like, I don't know, 7, whatever. I'm going to be playing soft. I'm going to be playing kind of a medium. There we go. We get 2 and hard. And I'm going to be playing harder and we get a lot more notes. So this one will decide in how hard you hit the keys, how many notes you get out of the amount that you selected right there. Now, sometimes you just want to do something, simpler, because maybe I'm going to go right there and just going to select 4. Now I can go right here and do soft. And then when I play hard, I'm going to be getting the 7th. So imagine all the possibilities. Maybe I want to do 7, so I can do... So yeah, it's just really, really great, right? So we know the type, we know the notes, we know the velocity to notes. Now we need to talk about the strum. And for this one, I will select no velocity. I just want to press a key and just get the amount I'm selecting right here, which is going to be 4. Now, the strum is a cool added feature. What it will do, it will strum whatever chord you selected. Now, this knob, if it's at 50%, is going to be at 0, so it will do nothing. So if I play a chord, we just get it. Now, if I keep going up, it will be selecting a value. Now, at first, this is going to be the rate. And I go there. Can you see the difference? It's just doing a strum. Now, if I go right there, it's going to go slower. So this is the rate. Now, at some point, when you go up, up of right there, which is 50, right? 50 is, the longest, the slowest. If you go over that, now you will be entering into divisions. Right? We are doing 32s, and then 16s, and so on, and so on and so on. Now, since this is using divisions, where can you set the tempo? Because this is locked to some tempo. Well, this is going to be the tempo. And if I move it, I'm going to be selecting 120 BPM. So now this is going to be synced to that, right? Now, if you are using a different clock, a different source, it will use that source instead. If I go to negatives, remember we can go to 0 and it will do nothing. But if I go to negatives now, it's going to still strum, but it will strum it backwards. So if I maybe go there and I play it, now this is just the opposite direction. And still going over 50 is going to go into divisions. Right? Now, one of the types that you get right here, I will go to strum of 0. And one of the types that you get right here is going to be the user. So I'm going to make sure that we are on the chromatic scale. So what you can do with this is that by holding the chord and just press and hold, is going to be listening for whatever chord that you do, and it will just remember that chord. So you can just, press whatever key and notice that it will go red. This means that it's just remember, and I'm going to be doing something just ridiculous, something like that. And when you release it, now it's going to be using that user chord. So when I play it, it's just going to do that chord. Right? So super simple. So this way you just create your chords and reuse it, and it's just going to transpose it everywhere you go. All right, so let me just tell you some gotchas that you need to know when you work with scales and chords. And then we will dive into the arpeggiator. Now, we are still on chord mode. I'm just going to get out. When you tap it, it will not work. So you can go off right there, and it's just going to go off. So in terms of scale, we have the root, and I'm standing on the chromatic for now. So when you are locked to a scale, what will happen to the chord? Well, the chords will adjust to the scale. Now remember that the notes will shift to fit whatever scale, and the chords will just do the same. Now, but you cannot just do whatever chord regardless of the chord type that you have selected right there. So KEYSTEP will shift the notes depending on what you have, which value you have selected right there. And this may not be what you want. Let me just give you an example. I'm going to go to Shift, going to hold Shift. We are standing on the C, and I'm going to be selecting a major scale, right? So I'm going to go to a major scale. Now I'm going to go right there, and I'm going to be turning this until we get into a minor scale. And I know I did a major and I'm looking for a minor chord. So the minus is going to be, a minor. So right now I'm going to be going here. I'm going to be going to, we are standing on the chord. I'm going to go to a C. I play a C and I made a mistake. I need to go, I'm going to go to a triad. There we go. And I'm going to go make sure that we are just all the way down. So if I do this, what are we getting? Am I getting a C major? No, we are getting a C sus2. But why? Now, if I play a D, then we just, get a D minor. That works. If I go an E, it's just an E minor. And F, we do have an F on the C major scale. And we get an F, but it's going to be an F sus2. So this is what I was telling you about. This really affects whatever you do right here when you have a scale selected. So still, when you play something and you're locked to a scale, every key that you play will belong to that scale. So I'm going to go to a C sharp and we get a C major, right? sus2, C major. So if I make a correction and go to the type and I select a major, which is going to be, let me just find it, right there, it's going to be the two lines. That's the major. Now I'm going to go right here. I press a C and we get a C major. Now if I go to C sharp, we get a C sus4. So we still get it, but we just, are not outside of the params of the scale. So if I play a C, I'm going to be getting a C major now, right? So now it works. And if I go right here to C sharp or, a D flat, I'm going to be getting a C sus4. So we still get something on that belongs to the scale or could belong to the scale. But again, all the notes will belong to whatever scale you're using. But now, since I go right here and I'm doing a major and I'm doing a major scale, everything is just going to work a little bit better. So now, since we understand the chords and we understand the scales, we can freely go to arps and sequences. Right, so finally, let's talk about the Arpeggiator, which is one of the main features of this device. Now, some of the features that we will learn with the Arpeggiator will work with sequences, so maybe watching both the arp section and the sequence section will unlock some tricks. Okay, so first of all, you need to make sure that you're standing on the ARP mode. Now, then you need to select right here the type, but we are going to be talking about this. I'm going to go to the very first one. Now, here, going to maybe put it on 16, and then since you're going to be playing an ARP, you need to decide the rate or the tempo where you're going to be playing this. Now, right here, you can do it manually, but you can use the top tempo to select whatever tempo is that you want. So what you need to do right here, you need to go to play and pause, and whatever is that you do right here, whatever chord will be arpeggiated. Whatever key you press is going to go through that arp. And I know I'm not telling you something, something new. I'm gonna press with intensity. Now, sometimes you want to release the keys. What you can do, you can press hold and release the keys, and it will hold the arp for you. At the same time, since you're doing play, you can pause the arp and it's just going to start blinking, meaning that you are on pause. But when you tap it back, it's going to keep doing that arp. Right, so changing the rate will affect how fast the arp goes. Now remember, since we are using a tempo, you can use the subdivisions or the divisions. I can go slower, and everything is going to be based on this tempo, right? On the 98 that I have right here. And we can go faster and faster, and so on, so on, and so on. Right, for now, I'm just going to keep it right there at the middle. Now, when you're holding and you're playing, if you do stop right here, it's going to remove whatever is that you did. So make sure that you don't press the stop by mistake if you don't want to lose the arp, even if you're holding. Now, still, while on play, you can go to the hold if it's enabled and make a chord, and it's just going to hold it for you. You just don't need to, let me give you an example, you don't need to do the chord, do the play, and then go to hold. right? You just don't need to do that. You can already be on hold, and whenever you do this, it's going to do it for you. Right, so pretty simple. Now I'm gonna make a chord and I'm gonna show you something. So let's say that you're doing something, right? You're just doing an arp, whatever, it doesn't matter. So you go out of the hold, you do stop, but the keyboard keeps going and going and going. It's like stuck there. So this has an all notes off, kind of a built-in, let's say. And the way you do it, if you get stuck, is by tapping 3 times the stop. So 1, 2, 3, and just quickly, and it will kill all the notes. Now this might happen from time to time. It's not very often. I never had to do it, and I've been using this for a couple of years. So, you know, you just don't panic. It doesn't happen that often. Now also, when you're doing something, let me just do something like that. Let me do it like that. And notice that we are holding. What you can do, you can restart the sequence. I'm gonna go a little bit slower so we can just detect this. And this works with sequences too. So right now it's just going through an order and then it just loops. But if you hold the shift just like this and you tap the play button, it's going to restart the arp. Notice that it's just, every time I tap, it's just starting from the first note. Now this works with sequences too. Now if I do something, you know, like that, what will happen, it will delete whatever note that you did. Because even though you're doing hold, it will just replace it for one single note. So you can still add many notes and create complex arpeggios by holding the previous key. We are going to be standing on hold. I'm going to be doing play. So I'm going to be doing this and I'm holding. Now let's say I want to do this and now we are doing 2. Now if I release this one, notice it's remembering the previous one and the one I'm holding. But I'm never releasing the previous one before I add the new one. So I'm going to be adding this one and now we get, you know, 3 notes. Now I want to do a new note. I'm going to be releasing this one, but I'm going to keep holding that one. And there we go, we get the 3 notes. So you always need to remember that if you want to create complex arpeggios, you know, and you don't have 5 hands or, you know, 20 fingers, by holding the previous one and pressing the next one, it's just gonna do it. And if I just do, you know, just a little bit more, let me just do here. I'm gonna release this one, I'm gonna do this, release this one, and now, you know, it's just gonna keep going, and you can easily create a complex arpeggio by doing this. And now let me just go faster. Right, now you still need to remember that if you make a mistake and you play a new note after you released the, you know, your fingers off the notes, of the keys, it's just gonna replace the whole arpeggio you just did with one single note. So if you're asking, do we have a limit of how many notes we can do on the arp? Yeah, you do, but it's a lot. You have a limit of 32 notes. Right, so let me show you how the multi-octave arpeggio or arpeggiator works. And this is something that we get on most arpeggiators. And it's the ability of playing maybe a chord on one octave, and then it will be repeated on the next one and on the next one, and, you know, different octaves, and then we'll loop back to whatever it is that you're doing right here. And right, you know, doing it this here is very simple. I'm going to do a C minor. Right, so we get that arpeggio. We know this. We are holding, and I'm going to be releasing, and we are holding. So now what I want to do this octave and an octave up. Now, to do this, you will need to go to the shift, and then you will need to tap the octave down or the octave up. If you do up, it's going to do it on this octave and on the next one. So you're going 1 octave up. And if you keep going, and notice that when you tap it, it's just telling you, dude, you're 1 octave up. If I do another one, notice it blinks faster, and we are doing 3 octaves. This one, and this one. And if we keep going, it's just gonna keep going up and up and up and up. Right? Now, if you want to go back, you just need to tap the octave down while holding shift, and you just go back to a single octave. You can also go down. Right? Right, again, we can go back to the normal one. Now, when doing all this, when creating all of this, you have gate and swing. And if you look at the keyboard right there, you're going to find that here you have the gate and you have the swing. So these ones are shift functions. You need to enable shift in order to decide which value you're going to be doing. So I'm going to zoom the camera right here so you can see the values, but I'm going to be always, tapping shift. I'm going to tell you when I'm doing it. Right, so you have the gate first. Now, the gate is very simple. When you play a chord, maybe I'm gonna do play first, and I'm gonna do something like this. We get the chord, we're gonna release it, and I'm holding, right? So now I'm gonna be selecting shift. When you do this, it's going to tell you that the gate is going to be 50%. If I go to 90%, the notes are gonna be longer. Now, in this case, since I'm using a piano, the notes are not longer, but maybe if you're using a synthesizer or something that has let's say an envelope in this case, it's going to be longer. But in the piano, if I go down, notice that the notes are just shorter. We can't do that with the sound I'm loading. If I do 25, going to be longer. 50, a little bit longer. 75, longer. Full. So this is how you set the gate. By default, I'm going to go to 50. Now then you have the other thing, which is going to be the swing. So you can do swing. If you have it right here, it's going to be off, but you can select other different values and it will just swing. Simple as that. Now always make sure that you have the right gate, you have the right swing before you start any sequence or any arp, and make sure again, make sure you're using the right scale. I was making a mistake. I was standing on major when I was supposed to be on chromatic. And it's because whatever you do on the scales and right here is going to affect the arp. So right now I'm just going to leave it on chromatic, right? So I want to create something. I'm going to do play. I'm going to do a C minor. And this is going to go and do it, right? And we are holding, so it's just going to remember it. I'm going to be adding a seventh. So we have something more. Now, shifting the values that you have right here on the scales is going to affect your arp. So if I go to shift and I change it to a major, now it's going to be a major. If I do minor, it's going to be minor because I was using minor. If we do blues, nothing happens because it's pretty much the same. And remember, when you go to user, we have the Persian scale. And notice that it's transposing everything that we did, all the different notes. And back to minor. So you can use this for creative purposes. Let's say that you do something and maybe you decide that you want to shift it, the different notes, the same thing that you did, and you want to shift it to a major or a minor, or maybe to whatever scale, and this is just going to move it. It's just a fantastic thing. Still, let's say that we are standing on a minor, because we are doing a minor. Remember, you can select the root right here. So when I go to minor and I hold the minor right there, I'm holding the key, I'm going to release the shift. I'm using a C minor, but I can transpose it and just, do something else. Just select a different root and it will just, move it. Right, so you can do that with this keyboard. So it's just a fantastic little thing. You create something and maybe you want to change something and just make different variations, check different scales. And this is just going to do it for you. It's a pretty cool tool. Now, can you do this, all of this with chords? Well, yeah, you can. Right now, we are not doing it. I'm going to be doing something like that. It doesn't matter. And now I'm going to be going to a chord. And if I do move it, it's going to go into it. If I keep moving it, let's go there. They're doing all minors. Fantastic. Now remember, I'm locked to the minor scale, so that will affect it. Right. So it's just a great keyboard. Now if you have no access to a KEYSTEP 37, from Arturia, you do have the other version, the Veringer version, which is the knockoff of this one. Let's say, I don't want to, to throw any hate, but it's, pretty complete like this one, and you can do pretty much the same thing. So if you cannot access to this one and you can access the Behringer one, just go and do it. It's just a great tool, just like this one. Right, so now we need to talk about the different arp types that we have right here, and some of them are really simple and some other ones need a little bit more explanation. So we are standing on the first one because that's one is the simple up. So if I do a play and I play something, it's just gonna be up. I'm gonna go slower so we can really see this or really hear this and see it with the lights, of course. And it's just a simple up. I'm gonna, release it because we are holding. And I'm gonna move on to the next one. So you can change the different type while you're still holding. Now this one is a simple down. Just gonna go down. Let me just stop it, play it again. Oh, sorry, there we go. Notice it starts from here and then goes down, right? Gonna do it again. Starts from this one and then goes down, right? So then you have another one called inclusive, which is this one. And if you, so maybe the name is just, what the F? What is inclusive? So this is an up and down, but it will repeat the highest note and the lowest note. I'm going to be playing this and I'm going to be playing it. And this is my up and down, but it's repeating this, the last note and the first note. Pretty simple, right? Just the name is just weird. Now, then you have the other one, which is going to be the exclusive. Now, this one is still an up and down. It's pretty much the same thing, but this one goes up and down without repeating the first and the last. And I'm going to do it again. I'm going to be doing some playing. I'm going to press it, and goes up and down without repeating this and without repeating this one. Right? So pretty simple. Now then, you have the next, and it's gonna be random, and I feel like I don't need to explain anything right here. It's just gonna be random. Right? Just random. Just gonna be random. There's no explanation right here. Pretty obvious. Now then the other ones, I need to do a little bit more explanation. So we have walk, and then we have patterns. All right, so the walk is a way of random. Now, but the thing is that it's you have a lot more control. It's just a little bit more controlled. So every time that you play something, I'm gonna go do something like that. This is the first key, the second key, the third key. So we have like 3 keys and 3 steps, let's say. So every time that, again, remember this is a way of random, it's going to go through the note, and every time it needs to play this note, it's going to ask itself 3 questions, and it's based on 3 simple rules. Now, it has a 50% chance that it will play the next note, which is nothing weird. It goes to this one and then goes to the next one. Let's say that we are standing on this note. If we make a triad, let's say that we're standing here. So when it reaches right here, it's going to ask, okay, so I have a 50% chance of going to the next one. I have a 25% chance that I'm going to be repeating the same note, or it has a 25% chance of going to the previous one. So if I make a triad, this one has a 50% chance of going to the next, has a 25 of going to play the same note, repeating the same note, and a 25% chance of going back to this one. So let's do it. I'm going to be playing this. We are standing on this, and if I play it, this is still random. Now we are going super slow, so it's just a little bit too boring. Let me just go there. So this is a way of random, but it's just a little bit more controlled. Right. That's all it is. Now I'm gonna stop it, and I'm gonna go to the next one. So the pattern, it's something that we inherit from the microfreak. Now this is another way of random, but it's a much more controlled random, because what it will do when you create something, you play something, it will create a pattern based on whatever keys that you played. It's still going to be, a random function. It's still going to be randomizing whatever it is that you do, but it creates a pattern. And if it creates a pattern, it means that whenever it creates a pattern, it's going to repeat it over and over again. It's a pattern. It's just not really random. The only thing is that it's going to create it once and one time, and then it's going to repeat it over and over again. So if I play it and I play something like that, we have 4 keys, right? We are latching. I'm going to release it, and I want you to listen. Notice that it's a pattern because it's just looping over again, over and over, and it's just creating the same pattern. It's still random, but it's just playing it over and over again. Now, this is something that you need to know. If I play it again, notice that the pattern is going to change. And if I do something else, like a different chord or maybe just whatever other thing, let me just do it again, it's going to start over, create a new pattern based on whatever it is that you do. And here comes the warning. I'm gonna stop it. If you play something and it creates a pattern that you really like, you will need to commit it to memory or save it on the DAW or, whatever it is that you're using. Because when this creates a pattern, as soon as you stop or you play again, it will just forget the pattern. There's no way of saving this. That's why you have the sequence, so you can create sequences and store it on the different slots. But if it creates a pattern with the arpeggiator, with the arp, as soon as you play it, it's gonna do it, remember it. But when you play something new, it's just gonna forget whatever it did right here and start over and over and over again. Now, there's one more thing about this. Now, it's creating patterns behind the scenes, so it means that it's remembering and it's using steps like a sequencer. So we will talk about this in a minute when we get to the sequencer, but on this device, you can do up to 64 steps. And right now, this is creating a pattern of a certain amount of steps, just like we would do with the sequencer. So what if you wanted to let the ARP know that you want to create a pattern with a lot of steps, maybe 16 steps, a pattern of 16, or maybe a pattern of 64 steps. So I'm going to go to the rec, and this is how you decide it. I'm just in a funny position. I'm going to do it like this. So when you go to the rec, it's going to show you right here the amount of steps that you select. And the way you do it is by holding the rec with, when it's not on. There's a difference when it's on and when it's not on. We will talk about that in a minute. So when you press and hold, you can tap the 1 to 16 to let the device know how many steps you want to work with in the pattern mode. So in this case, I'm just going to be pressing, holding, and just going to try to move my hand so you can see it right there. So right now we can select from 1 to 16 steps. If I go to this one, which is the 16, now the sequence is going to be, the pattern is going to be 16 steps. Now the thing is that this is additive. Let's say that you want to do, let's say 8 steps. I'm going to release it. I'm going to go press it back. And I'm just going to play press the 8. Now it's going to be 8 steps. So let's say that you decide that the steps is going to be 10. Well, you already have 8. If you do 10, it's going to end up doing 18 because I'm still holding the rec. So every time that you add 1 or you play a key or you add a number, it's going to add it to the amount of steps. Right now, I'm just doing by 1s, but I can do it by 2s or by 16s. So for example, if I press and hold and I do 16, 16, 16, and 16 is going to be 64. So you always need to remember that if you are not releasing the rec and you're still holding it, it's going to keep adding and adding and adding. So in this case, I want to do it, 16 steps is more than enough. Okay, so I'm going to be playing and we are still locked on the ARP. I'm going to be doing something like this and it's going to create a sequence, a pattern with 16 steps. Now this is much longer. So I'm going to stop it. And then right now, I'm going to make it crazy. I'm going to go to 64. Now, once I do this, I'm going to go back to the same thing. And I'm just going to be playing it. And now, it's going to be a little bit different because the sequence is just, the pattern is just much longer. It's just a little bit hard to spot that this is a pattern because you have 64 steps. Still, it is a pattern. Now, if you want to narrow it down, you can go right there and make it, 4. And notice that now it's just repeating it. It's just 4. I'm gonna go there and just, do 8. Just like that. It's just 8. And now it's gonna be locked into 8 steps. But notice this is changing the pattern. So you need to be aware of this, that every time that you make a change and you're in the pattern mode and you do a change, it's going to create the pattern again. This is the way it works. You cannot save it or store the pattern. So you need to be careful with this. Now, the last one is going to be the as played. And this one is very simple. It's one of the most common types of ARPs that you have around. So let me go out of the hold and I'm going to just do play. So whatever key you play, is going to remember the order of where you play the keys, and it's just going to do it that way. So I'm going to do this first. I'm going to do this second, third, fourth, and then I'm going to do this one with my pinky. And it's going to remember the order of where you play the keys, and it's just going to, follow that order. That's why it's called ordered and or as played. So there's something called not adjacent or adjacent, whatever you want to call it, a skip selection. So, and this makes sense. I'm going to go to play, and I'm going to just show you. I'm going to go all the way down to up. Why the first type? So if I play something, let's say that you're doing something. Let me just do it again and do it with more velocity. So if you're doing something, you're playing live, let's say, and you have your arp going, right? But maybe you just want to change it and go all the way from 1 or up to order. So since this is a switch, you cannot do it. You need to go through the other ones until you get the one that you want. And by that time, you went through all the other types. Now, right now, we are going really small, but if you're going fast and you change them, you will notice that you're switching to different types. How can you avoid this? So you can go to Shift and press Shift. Now, when you go there and you move it, it will not do the change. So I'm going to do it now. Notice it's just not changing. Not changing. It's just still an up. So let's say that I'm going to go to pattern. Only when I release this, then it's going to go to that one. Right? Same thing happens with the division. So let's say I'm going to go maybe right there, slow. And then maybe I'm going to go up so it's a little bit easier to hear. I'm going to be doing something like that. And if I change it, it's going to go through the different switches. So I'm going to be standing right there. I'm going to be doing Shift and I'm going to move it. If I move it, not changing, not changing. Right there, I'm going to move it, not changing. Only when I release Shift, then it's going to go to that one. Right. Now, can you do arps with chords? Yeah, of course you can. Now, first you need to enable a chord and do something. So I'm going to be selecting, I don't know, whatever right there. Notice that the chord mode, it's enabled. I'm going to do something. I'm going to do that. Let me just find it. Minor. There we go. And if I play it, and I do play, it's just going to do it. Now, if I do something like that, maybe it's just too fast. It's just gonna do it, right? Fantastic, super simple. Now, I'm gonna go right here. Remember, you do have all the different notes, and you can make it more complex. Remember, the velocity when you punch in or you add the arpeggio is going to affect it. In this case, I'm gonna go off, but you also have this strum. And if I lock it to divisions, let me just do it like that, you're going to start getting variations. Of course, it's too slow. You can go the other way. Right? So yeah, you can do that. So what a fantastic little keyboard. I love the KEYSTEP. I had it for quite a few years already, and I never thought about doing a guide about this. But it's just a fantastic little thing when you learn all the things that you can do with this in terms of scales, chords, and all the things that you can do, and not just the CV outputs. It's just a fantastic tool. Right, so let's talk about the sequencer. Now, you can create up to 8 different sequences. That's why right here, and make sure you're on the right here at the top, right here you have 8 different positions. You have the ARP type, but you also get 1 through 8. So every position is going to be storing a sequence. So if you're standing on 1, you're saving the sequence on the slot number 1. So you can go up to 64 steps, and the sequencer is polyphonic, so you can stack up to 8 notes per step. Right, so let's just begin creating a sequence. First, I'm going to make sure that I'm standing on the chromatic scale. We can, of course, use this. Maybe later we're going to use it. And in this case, I'm going to select a gate of 50% and no swing. So the tempo is going to be 100-ish, and I'm going to be going to the rec. Whenever you're on rec and right here is steady and you're not playing, it means that the rec is on. So it will start adding the note, whatever notes you play, to the steps. So I'm going to be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And right there is going to tell you how many steps you recorded. And when we do play, there you go. Now, you can still use the divisions to go faster. And this will blink, because it's going to tell you how fast you're going. So for now, I'm just going to go there. And that's it. It's easy as this. Still, there are a lot of things that we need to learn when it comes to sequence. Now, whenever you record a sequence and you record a new one, it will replace the previous one. So if I do rec again and I do something else like going backwards, so let's say something like that, I'm going to play it, it's just going to replace the previous one. So you need to be aware of this. If not, you're just going to lose it. I'm going to go right here and I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be rec on and I'm going to release it. So right now I'm going to be holding it and I'm going to be saying that we have a sequence of 8. So whenever I do 8, it's going to be waiting for a sequence of 8. Now, there's a warning right here. There's a difference between having the rec on and you hold to select the amount of steps and having the rec off to add the amount of steps. So I'm going to go right there and just going to record 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And if I play it, we just get that. Pretty simple. Now I'm going to go there and we have a sequence of 8. Now what happens if I go to rec right here and hold it to the side, the amount of steps, just like we did with the arp. So we can. Now there is a difference between having this on or off. Right now I'm going to go to on, right? So it's on. I'm going to press and hold it. And it's going to tell me we have an 8, but remember we can change this. So I'm going to be doing, 16, or maybe I'm going to do 8 again. And it's going to be 8, and I do it 8 again. So we have a 16 step. We selected 16. I'm going to release it, and I'm going to do play. So what's going on right now? So if you already have a sequence from before, recorded, and you change the amount of steps, this will just erase whatever you did before. So you need to be aware of this. Still, if you have nothing and maybe you select a sequence of 16, just like that, and you do play, nothing is going to happen. But if you go back to rec, you can still, record whatever sequence that you punch in. It doesn't matter the amount of steps. It's just going to go and do it. Now, what happens if we do the same thing when we have the rec off and not on? Okay, so let me just show you. First, I'm going to record a sequence and I'm going to do something like 16 steps, something like that. Something that we can really identify and recognize, and I'm going to go there. Okay, that's fine. So if I play it, that's fine. But we have a 16 step sequence. Right, so I'm going to be stopping this, and now we have the rec off. If I tap this and I hold this, now I can select the amount of steps. Remember, we have 16. What happens if I go to 8? I'm going to be selecting 8, just releasing this, and I'm going to be playing this. And notice that the sequence, it's a lot shorter. Now, this is just not disposing the steps, the notes that we added to the steps. It's just making it shorter. So if I go back, I stop it, and remember it's off, and I just tap it, remember we have 8, so I'm going to do 16 now. And if I release it and play it again, it's going to get the notes that we had back. So you're not deleting them, you're just changing the length of the sequence. Same thing is going to happen if you make it longer. If I go, just press and hold, and I do 16, we already have 16, but now it's going to be 32. Just going to be super long. So if I release this and I play it, it's going to play the 16 steps, and then it's going to play 16 empty steps, all the way to 32. Later, we're going to be learning how to add and append notes. But if you do something like this, it will play empty steps. You need to be aware of that, and you need to be aware of the difference between having this on and having this off. So for now, I'm just going to go right there, just hold it, and I'm going to be going to 16. Remember, the rec was off, so we get, that sequence back. Just like the arp, what we can do, we can go right there, hold shift, and when we tap on play, it will restart the sequence. So, right, so, it's just restarting the sequence just like the arp, right? And just like this, this feature that works the same way with the arp, we have other features. I'm going to be doing some playing, and I'm going to be going to the shift. And we can decide the gate. If I make the gate shorter, it's gonna be short. If I do long, it's gonna be longer. Short, you can hear the difference. So I go 50%, and if we do swing, it's just gonna do it just like, you know, we did with the arp. Right. I'm gonna go back to no swing. So what's going to happen if I change the scale to something else? If I do major, it's all the white key, so I'm gonna be doing minor. So if I play it back again, now it's just, you know, shifting it to a minor. Just, you know, moving the keys, the values of the keys. If I do blues, well, it's gonna do blues. And if you do user, we have that user, remember? That Persian scale we did at the beginning. It just will do it. And if I go back to chromatic, we get the same thing. Right. And, you know, maybe this sequence is not the right thing for us right now, but if I do something like that, something like that, something like that, and something like that, and I play it back, we just get that, and I'm gonna go slower, you can just go and enable the chord mode, and it will just do it. Just like, you know, we discussed earlier, all of these features, you can use them on the arp, and you can use them on the sequence. Right. And you know, it's doing some strum. Right, so very cool. Okay, so what about rests and ties? Can we do it? Yeah, we can. I'm going to be enable and record, and we are going to be doing it right now. I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to be doing this, and I'm going to do maybe, I don't know, this. Now, I want to add a rest right here. Notice we are on the third step. So if you're not holding a key, you know, we are not holding it, I can tap this one, and now that one is going to be a rest. So now if I play this key, the fourth, you know, we never did it. So I'm going to do this, this, and on this one is going to be a rest. So I'm going to be tapping this. There's a rest, and then rest, and then just something like that. So if I play it back, you know, we are just adding rests. Now the other side of this, it's ties. Can we do ties? Yes, of course. Now it's pretty much the same thing, but you need to remember something. I'm going to be recording again, and I'm going to be doing 1, 2, and I'm going to be doing this. Now I want to tie this note to the next one, so I'm not going to be releasing the key, and this is the trick. If you're not holding it, it's going to be a rest, but if you're holding this, it's going to be a tie. So now I'm going to be playing this, and notice it's just moving forward to the next step. I release it and move forward, so that is a tie. So I'm going to be doing this, I'm going to do this, and maybe, I don't know, this one is going to be a tie. I'm holding the key, I'm going to tap it, we do the tie, and just keep moving forward. That one is going to be a tie, and then just do this, right? So let's just play back. Notice it, the notes sustains. Now you can do this with multiple steps. So if I do maybe C, this one, and I don't know, this one, and I want this one to be a rest, and I want to be a rest again, that note is going to be sustained throughout different steps. And then I just keep moving forward. I hold it, 1, 2, 3, and then keep moving forward. And then I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and then just keep moving forward. So now the ties are going to be longer. Right, so that's the trick. Right. Okay, so there's something called the legato notes. I'm gonna, you know, let me just give you an example because this is just not so easy. So when you hold a key, you can tie that note and make it long, make it last for the entire duration until you release it. So okay, so let me just give you an example of not doing a legato note. I'm gonna be recording. I'm gonna be doing this. I'm gonna be doing this and this, this and this, and since this is polyphonic, you know, we can record chords or several keys at the same time. I'm gonna be always holding this, and I'm gonna do this. Now, if I play it, notice it's like we are just like doing that, 2 keys on each step. But maybe what I want something like sustaining this note and doing something like this, while this note, the C, is being sustained. Can we do something like this? Yes, we can. It's just a little bit funky. Now, I'm going to be doing the same, but now, since to do this, I need to do tap. I need to tap, and I need to hold. And I'm going to be doing the same thing, but we need to hold it. I'm going to be doing this, then this and this, then this and this, then this and this, and then this and this. And just to prove that this works, I'm going to be releasing, and I'm going to be doing the same thing, but with a different key. I'm going to tap and hold it, and I'm going to do this, 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 and then this and this. Now if I play it back, that's what happens. The C note is sustained, and then we play the other keys out. It just goes lower. This one sustains. We play the other ones. Right here we are playing the other ones. If I do this one sustains, and then we play the other ones at the top. So essentially, for this step, for the C and this one, we are just tying the notes throughout the whole thing. Right, so that's called legato notes on this device. Right, so can we real-time record with this? Yes, we can. The only issue is that you don't have a click track with this. So it's easier to have it synced to the PC or to the computer, to the DAW, or maybe to a drum machine or something that, lets you know when everything begins, because you just don't know where you are. So recording live is just pretty much the same. It's just very simple. So I'm going to go to rec on, and the first thing you need to do, you need to decide you can do it rec off if you want to, but you need to decide the length of the sequence, because since you're live recording, the whole thing is going to work in a loop. So if you do 16 steps, but you keep playing after 16 steps, everything that it's recording, all the notes are going to be replaced for whatever it is that you play. So the sequence the device needs to know the length of the sequence. And remember, you can just press the rec, and you can decide how many. In this case, it's going to be 16, right? Just to do something. So, okay, so the rec is already on. The only thing that you need to do is you just need to play. I'm going to change the divisions because it's going to be just way too slow. I'm going to be doing some playing, and when you do playing, you just need to, to start playing the things that you don't know where you are. That's the problem. So as soon as I start playing something, it's just going to start doing it. Right? It's that simple, and everything is just going to be quantized. Remember, you can add chords, and in this case, it's just going to replace them if I add a chord. Right? So you can live record. Pretty simple. Everything that you play, of course, will be quantized. So if you're stopped and you're doing some playing, you can do rec on, and everything that you do, will be recorded, and it will be just replacing the previous one. You need to be aware of this. Now we're going to talk about this in a minute, how we can replace, overdub, and do everything else. But you just can, do something like this. All right, so just to make sure that you understood, I'm going to be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. I'm just doing a new sequence. So if I do play, and I go to record, we cannot edit what we have right here. I'm going to go just slower. So whenever I play something, that something is going to replace whatever information that was on that step. So we are just not stacking. Right? We are not stacking the different keys or notes to the existing step. So still, there are a few things that you can do, like append notes and remove the last steps of a sequence. So, for example, I'm going to be recording a tiny dump sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just 4 notes. I'm going to be doing play. So now what we can do, we can go to shift. Now, if I go to shift, actually I can go out of the rec mode. We can go out. I'm going to do shift, and while holding shift, I'm going to just press the rec. Notice it's solid. It's not blinking. So this means that every time that you play something, it will not replace whatever you did right here. It will be added at the end. And notice it's giving you the number of steps that you currently have. It's 4. But if I added something like that, it's just going to add it to the end of the sequence. This is actually super cool. And if I keep punching notes, it's just going to do it and extend the sequence. Right. So the difference is not blinking, replacing, and steady. No, blinking, replacing, and steady is going to be appending. That's why you have the append right here. Okay, so let me show you something else. I'm going to be recording something else, and this time I'm going to do the same thing than before, something really silly, and I'm going to be doing 16 steps. Right, so if I play it, we are going to be getting the 16 steps, nothing new. So by holding shift right here and then doing stop, we can clear last. which is going to be removing the last step. I'm going to be doing this, and I'm going to be going right here and just do this, keep doing it until the sequence is just super short. And when I release it, notice the sequence is just 12 steps in this case. It's just much shorter. And I keep doing it, one more, and now the sequence is going to be 8 steps. Now, if I stop it, stop it, but does this mean that we are deleting the notes that we had right here? Not really. So when the rec is off, right here, it can just go right there. And remember that the sequence was 16. Now we shortened the sequence to 8. But if I do 16, we are going to be getting those notes back. So what it's doing behind the scenes, it's not removing the notes. It's just clearing or removing the last step. But not the information. It's just making the length of the sequence shorter. That's it. All right, so let me just record something super dumb. Maybe I'm going to be doing a couple more. That's fine. I'm going to be playing this. So you have something called transpose. Let me just stop for now. Transpose and keyboard play. So if you follow my finger, you are going to be getting it right here. It says transpose and keyboard play. Now, if I go right there and do shift, this is going to light up. And if you're standing on transpose, it means that you're on transpose mode. So I'm going to be playing this. And it's going to be very simple. If I play something, not a rec, it's going to transpose whatever is that, we recorded. It's just transposing. If I keep playing keys, it's just going to transpose it and go on and on and on. That's why the mode, it's transpose, just transposing. So, what's the difference with the other one? What the F, it's keyboard play. Now, this one means if you do shift right here and hold it and you type on this one, now you're on the keyboard play mode. So, I'm going to be playing this. And the only thing that this means, first I'm going to be playing it, I'm going to be transposed, and I'm going to do something low. And I'm going to be going to keyboard play. So keyboard play means that you can play on top. Right? That's all. Since you have many, you can play many things right here. You're going to be playing at the top. Now remember that the sequence can hold up to 8 per voice per step. That's it. That's the difference. Transpose will transpose it, and when you go to keyboard play, you can play at the top. So right here, you have a couple of options when it says sequence. So this means that we are talking about sequences that is called mono and it's called overdub. So what is the difference? So the thing is that you can connect the back and go to a synthesizer, and depends on what you're doing on the sequence. If it's mono, it's going to be outputting something to maybe a mono synthesizer, or it will be outputting something else. Now let me just show you. I'm going to be recording a sequence that it's not mono. You need to make sure that none of this is selected. The mono, it's unselected, and the overdub, it's not selected. So I'm going to be recording something, and I'm going to be recording chords. I'm going to be doing something like that, like that, like that, and like that. And if I play it back, I'm going to go slower so we can hear this. So if I do shift and I go to mono and select mono, notice what's going on. We recorded a C minor, but it's only playing the lowest note because it's mono. Remember, you're going to a mono synthesizer. When you do mono, it's just sending the CV, the pitch, to the synthesizer with the lowest note. Now, what happens if you do the same thing while you are on mono? So if I record, something funky is going to happen because this will work as a mono synthesizer, let's say, or mono keyboard. If I do a chord, notice that it's doing 3 right here. But I'm, playing 3, but it's just telling me I'm on the 3rd step. So we cannot really do chords. And if I do 3, it's just going to sound a little bit weird, right? So yeah. So when you record a sequence, make sure that you're not standing on mono, because if you're standing on mono, you can only do a mono sequence. And that will, will work. Right, so then you have the other option, which is going to be overdub. So this is the not replace mode. So first I'm going to be going there. I'm making sure that mono is not enabled. I'm on the chromatic scale. I'm just going to release it. And we are already on record, so we can go there and just record something. I'm going to be recording a one note deal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And why not? I'm going to do a lot more to 16, right? So if I do play, we get that, right? So with the overdub, what you will be doing, you will be stacking whatever else that you play to that note. Now I'm going to go to shift and I'm going to enable the overdub. And now when we do record, we can do live recording. And when it comes back, maybe we can hear that we are not deleting that note. We are not just disposing it. We are just recording and stacking them. And this way you just can create really cool you can do chords, of course. And you can stack and stack and stack because you're on overdub. Pretty simple, right? And it's just gonna go and do it. Right, so let's talk about the CC banks that you get right here. So when you go out of chord, you go to the colors, you have 4 different banks with 4 different knobs, so you can send CC messages. So if you go right there and you hold the shift, the first bank is going to be white. And if you toggle it, it's going to be blue, then purple or pinkish, let's say, and then it's gonna be green. That's the 4th bank. And if you go to the first one, it's just going to toggle back to the first, to the white one. So all the buttons on each different bank, they are already assigned to a number. So you either need to use that number or to change it right here. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a minute. But if you're using an Arturia product, since this is an Arturia product, if you load I don't know, let me just load something. So I'm going to be loading the MS-20. So if you play something, I'm standing on the white one and I move this is already mapped to something. It's going to move the filter cutoff. And all the knobs, I'm pretty sure they're going to be assigned to something else. Still, you can do MIDI learn and just map it to something else. For example, I'm going to just load a different company that has no idea that I'm using this keyboard. So I'm going to be using the DCO from Cherry Audio. Now, if I move something on this one, nothing happens. It's telling me right here that, dude, I'm getting some MIDI, some MIDI right there, but nothing is moved. So you need to do MIDI learn. So I'm going to go enter MIDI learn. I'm going to touch the frequency, the filter, and then I'm just going to move this knob. And there you go. We just learned it. And by moving this, we just can move it, right? So it's the usual stuff. We just do MIDI learn, we map it, and that's it. And if you want to change banks, remember you can do it from here and there, go to different banks, and you have a lot of knobs now where you can just control things. Now, the thing is that on hardware, since sometimes you are going to be able to modulate something if you do have some kind of a MIDI implementation. Some analog synths, for example, they don't have a MIDI implementation. You just cannot control it with MIDI. But some other synthesizers, analog or not analog, they do have it. In this case, I'm going to give you an example of a Mini-Log XD, the Korg one. I'm using one. It's now connected to the DAW, not even using this. It's just going through USB. So right here, what you can do, you can modulate, for example, the cutoff of the Mini-Log XD from here. Now, the issue is that the Mini-Log XD uses a different number to all the, from the ones we have right here. For example, if I'm standing on this one is going to be the 74. And on the Mini-Log XD, I have no idea what the 74 does. But I know that the 43 changes the cutoff. So we need a way to change the mapping, the CC mapping behind the scenes. Now, you have 2 ways of doing this. You can do it either from here, or you can do it from the MIDI control center. Now, sometimes you just want to do it from here because it's just easier. And how can you do it? Well, you need to go to Shift, and you need to go to Chord. right? But now you don't need to tap. You need to press and hold, and now we are standing on this one, right? So I'm going to be pressing and holding, and at some point it's going to enter CC mode, and it's just going to start blinking on whatever bank we are using. So now when we move this, notice that we have 127.20, so we need to decide which CC message this is going to be sending. I'm going to be using 43 because I know that's the mini log one. So when you're ready and you are sure that this is the one, I'm going to be pressing chord and it's going to go out. Now, if I play the mini log XD, this is the mini log XD. So this one should be sending some CC or just, modulating the cutoff. And, it's happening. I'm modulating the cutoff with this one. So that's the way you do it from within, the device. But right, so I'm on the MIDI control center. Now, right here, you have a lot of settings. I'm not going to go through this, but if you want to connect this with the CVs right there, right here, you have a bunch of options that are really useful and a bunch of options about the, the velocity, the curves, and everything else. Just main configuration. So if I go all the way to the bottom, it's going to say CC bank right here. And right here we have the 43. So now we can just change one by one very easily. And on top of that, you have other options that you cannot set up right here, which is like the max range that you can select. For example, in this one is 127. And like I told before, the MIDI control center gives you a lot more control about the configuration of the device. And the MIDI control settings are something that you might want to check. Now, the other part of the MIDI control center is that you get the editor for the sequence. So you can inspect whatever you did on the sequences, you can edit them, and then you can sync with your key step and send the information back so you can play it from here. And also you can store different templates. So every time that you sync, it's going to take whatever is in memory and it's going to save it as a user template. Right, so that's it. We are done. Hopefully you like this one. And remember, if you would like for me to create a different guide, just connecting maybe different devices through the CV connections that we have right there at the back, just let me know down in the comments. Now, still, if you like this and you learned something about this device, this cool keyboard, just like and subscribe. And if you have the money and you want to buy me a coffee, you can just go to the links in the description. You have links for PayPal, you have Patreon, and you have YouTube. Thanks. Right, so see you on the next one.